Okay, hello all, and welcome to this new live. It's your friend Anni here, and my channel is support channel for all the caffeine quitters. And today I have some surprise for you because I have my sweet friend from Texas, Mandy. Welcome, Mandy.
Hello. Hello, thank you.
So we have a little update live for you, like I did promise. We haven't been forgetting you, all the caffeine quitters. So I warmly welcome to you in the chat if you are there. And if you have any questions, you can throw some shit for us. So let's start.
Okay.
And I want to hear about you, Mandy. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm excited to be here today. It's kind of a little whim that we're doing this.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so much has changed since the last few videos we were making. So I definitely wanted to come on here today and share what's been going on. Um,
Yes.
it's just recovery. It's recovery from years and years of drug addiction, but it's all, caffeine addiction. And for me, alcohol, and I smoked and all that. But it's just like every day, every month, I just understand so much more that it is all about the rewiring and all about just going back to, normal, like what is normal. But we really do. It's just, we go back to life. I don't know how to. One thing I did want to talk about was four different levels or four different phases of anxiety. I do want to
Yes.
talk about that today, so I'll
Yes.
write that down. We didn't really write anything down.
Yeah, we just randomly jump in.
Yeah, but see, I don't even know how to spell anxiety anymore. That's something that I was told. You're not even going to know how to spell it because I don't even know if the I or the E is like. For so long, I'm like, I knew everything about it. Yeah, I. Anyway,
Don't worry.
but we just forget eventually, I think. But yeah, just the last, I'd say, since July, things have really shifted in a more positive way. Do I feel like I'm still healing? That's what's tricky. I don't want to say that and then scare people. It's not like that. It's so, there's so many different, like I was saying, there's so many different levels to it. And I feel like I'm more so around the anxiety level that I had on caffeine, which I do believe was from caffeine for sure, and then self medicating with the alcohol. But I'm functional now. Like I am. So that's what I wanted to update about. And I was
Yes.
functional. Yeah, I was functional on
Yeah.
caffeine. Was I optimal? Uh,
Amazing.
no, not then, but I was functional. And then boom, we quit this drug and then we go into the fourth stage of panic. So it goes mild, moderate, extreme, and then panic anxiety. But I'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's just all it really is. And so I think on caffeine and alcohol all those years, I was in mild to moderate anxiety. And I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know. And then I was self medicating with alcohol and I was just living my life. And every month I would have terrible PMS. And it was just, and then I would drink because the PMS was so bad. And it was just that vicious cycle for 30 years. And then I quit. And now I'm a little over 3 years and 3 months. I think I'm 3 years, 3 months and a week. So wait a minute. Today's it's
No.
today.
No, it's not like I'm 3 years and this month's 18th is 3 years
In three
and
weeks from today.
yeah. Not
Yeah, because
yet.
you're 2 months in a week exactly to the day ahead of me.
Yep.
So I was backwards. So it'll be in 3 weeks.
Don't
I
worry.
think. Yeah. So yeah, 3 years, 3 months. And I think just from my experience and just now that I'm almost at 3.5 years, I think that, and I hear this from a lot of people that 2.5 years is like it's really starting to get better. It could be you're starting to feel good if you go through this tsunami wave we've been talking about. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, the German new medicine that I think is so interesting that you made a video about the other day. Very interesting stuff. And they have the chart. Now, can you bring that chart up
Yeah,
later?
I think so. I think so.
That'd be really good. But yeah, something around 2.5 years. If somebody goes into a wave around that time or not, something about that. And then 3 years, it gets so much easier. And then 3.5 years, I mean, this kind of varies depending on the person, maybe. But for me, I think 3.5 years, it gets so much more manageable. So just to start off with pretty much what I've done since our last video. And this is big for me. I mean, maybe people were already doing this kind of stuff in their recovery because there are different levels to anxiety. I mean, maybe some people are going through this who have never experienced anxiety before. So, like I said, if I had mild to moderate anxiety for 30 years, I was used to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I was somewhere, depending on where I was in my recovery, I was in extreme or a lot of the time in level 4 in panic.
Yes.
But let's say somebody quits and they never even had mild to moderate, and then they quit, and then their body goes into shock or whatever happens, and then they get this anxiety disorder that is curable. We're healing. It's really about healing. The symptoms are about the healing because the brain is going, we've talked about this before, the brain is going back to homeostasis after being in an allostatic state for so long that, so if they've never been in an anxiety level, they don't know what it feels like. So even if somebody's in maybe moderate to extreme, it might feel completely awful to them, but maybe it is panic for them. And that's another thing too, we've talked about before, that like people perceive different symptoms and different way that they feel differently. Like somebody can have the derealization, depersonalization doesn't bother them that much. Some, for whatever reason, we're all different in that way.
Yes.
It's not that it's different or that we're the same. We could say that, oh, we're all different, or it is the same. It's just, there are those different factors that make the individual. That's something I'm learning in school. My favorite class was culture and health this last summer, because there's like that individual level. There's like, it's called the socioeconomic levels of like how you were raised and, where you were born, like where you were raised and who raised you. There's all these different factors and cultural factors. So genetic factors, I don't know, but it's very similar anxiety. And that's why we can all say, well, it's all the same symptoms. It's like, yeah, because those are the specific normal symptoms of anxiety, but it just depends on how we deal with it. Some people might hate the intrusive thoughts. Some people like us, we had them for so long. Yeah, they're annoying and they can get very scary. And I think that's the same thing too, with the different levels of anxiety. I think that the symptoms, the levels go up. So like in anxiety or in caffeineism, when I had the mild and moderate anxiety and I would have the PMS and I would have a day or two of depression, I would around my cycle, it hit pretty hard, and it wasn't funky. And I would always say, this is just my period. This is just my period. Never knowing it was the way caffeine was affecting me, the hormones. And, but it would go away, but then in withdrawal, it was like in that panic level. So it was like the depression would be, that anhedonia, that no joy, that flatness, that soulness, feeling like we're walking around like a zombie. I mean, that, and especially if it lasts for days and days and days, comes and goes, it's so hard. And then we're not high anymore. We're not getting that fake dopamine boost. So it's all rewiring, but the symptoms of the brain rewiring and going back to normal that we don't like because it feels uncomfortable, but it is about the healing. I've been saying it forever. We heal the most when we feel the worst. And it's so 100% true. And then again, learning about this new theory, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just nice to have something to fall back on, like this theory to say, okay, because there aren't, articles and doctors telling us what this is. It's just anxiety, take this pill. No, I mean, it is healing. So we're not stuck with anxiety. It wasn't an underlying issue that we were masking. I hate that. I really do. I can say I hate that. I dislike that a lot. It was not an underlying disorder. Like,
No.
that's ridiculous. It's the way that caffeine was affecting us. The whole time we were on it, we were having that conflict in that mild and moderate state of anxiety. That was
Yeah.
the conflict. That
Yes.
was the symptom of trying to heal. But again, we were in that allostatic state and our body was, it was used to that, but something was off. Like, it knew something was off. And then we quit and we're going back to homeostasis. And then it's like extreme, because it's like, where's the drug and all that? So it just makes so much sense. It's just having to get through it. But anyway, so I am now at a point where I am functional
and working. You're
working. And so some people, so again, that was my whole point. I always have a point. I know I get a little rambly, but I always have a point that, like, if somebody was able to work throughout this process, but they never had anxiety before, like I did, after they quit, and then they're working the whole time and it's awful for them and they feel it mild, moderate, but maybe their mild, moderate feels extreme to them, So it's just tricky like that. But I wasn't able to work. My whole point is I wasn't able to work.
Same.
Mentally or physically, just, I didn't care.
Same.
I mean, yeah. Like, I've always said it, especially in the worst of the dips of the healing. You could have handed me $1 million and I would just been like, for what? So how am I going to go to work and make, little piddlies compared to $1 million and care? Like, and now, and Cato talks about this in a lot of his videos, you start becoming entrepreneurial, you start wanting to make the money. And, like, I don't know, it's just in me. Like, I don't really have anything that I need to make the money for, because I don't necessarily care about materialistic stuff as much as I did on caffeine, but it is coming back. Like, I even had this thought, because I have a Honda Accord. I've had it since 2018. It's a 2016 Honda Accord 4-door, just a nice little normal car, nothing fancy. And the other day I had this thought of, I want a Range Rover. Like,
wow.
What?
That's cool.
Like, it starts to come back. Not that I'm saying that I want to be a materialistic person or anything, but I think naturally we want nice things, and everybody's desires and wants are different for whatever reason, just like with everything else. But that's just something that I kind of fantasize about, that once I get my big girl job, when I'm done with school. And that's another thing too. This was the first semester that I have been going into school. So when I quit, in my 8 months, I started school online here in Houston at HCC, Houston Community College, all online. And then I transferred to U of H here in Houston. And this was my first class this semester. So most of my classes are online, but I have one class that I go into campus. Again, really big deal for me. Like this whole time being in school, I couldn't have imagined going into campus. I was just like, I couldn't do it. So many different reasons, just that initial fear in my body or panic or whatever it was. I couldn't have even imagined walking on campus, sitting in a classroom. And now here I am doing it on Tuesdays, and it's
amazing.
Now, do I feel 100% perfect? No, I have the same amount of anxiety, like especially the first couple Tuesdays, I had that same kind of social anxiety that I'd have on caffeine. The reason I would need a beer. So like before I would feel that way, and then I'd go out later that night and drink and everything would be great because I would medicate. Right. And now I'm teaching my brain, I'm not going, all kinds of things are happening, but I'm not going to go medicate with a beer. And so like the next, like class 3, class 4 was different. And plus it was different around where I was in my cycle. Cause I've been in class, I think it's been 6 or 7. I think we're on week 7 now. And it does depend on where I'm at in my cycle, because again, my hormones are still regulating.
Yes.
And so, but again, I had that on caffeine. It was worse on caffeine. So now it's so much better and just different. And eventually that will all regulate. I had all that mental stuff before. It was like so many different layers to this. We talk about that all the time, that onion layer.
Yeah.
And before it was like the crazy intrusive thoughts, it was the anhedonia, the depression, losing the appetite, couldn't sleep. There's so many more symptoms, heart palpitations, all that, just not caring. And then now here I am, and I've said this in another video, you're flat, you don't want anything. Then you start wanting the things. And then later you start doing the things. And now I'm finally starting to do. But I think
Yeah.
there's different layers to that too, of the
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went to the beach like I think 3, maybe 4 times. Enjoyed it. I went dancing with my
Whoa.
sister and my dad. And I didn't dance all night, or anything like that. But I think we got there at like 6:30 and we left at like 9:30 or 10 because I had to work the next day. And I still do get a little tired depending on where I'm at in my cycle. And, Ani, you and I we've tried so hard to tell our truth and to not scare people, but to just be like, this is how we're experiencing it. This is how it's happening for us. And I think it's happening like that for a lot of people, but once they got to 2.5, 3 years, they were feeling better. And then that, you want to be the hero, not the hero, but you want to give that inspiration and that, that it's going to get better, but we're telling our truth and telling it's going to get better at the same time, because that's the only way I know how to do it. And yes, I got out of the groups. I got out in December completely. And that's been wonderful because like there are good things about the group because I met people and I found Cato's videos. I think I found Cato's videos first, but I just hearing other people's stories that were going through this, it helped me to understand. But then again, there's so many people in there that aren't going through this. And then it gets really confusing. And then you got the naysayers and it's just not nice. And it can be like there's good points about it and there's not. So
Yeah.
I just decided to get out for many reasons. I was kind of told to, but then even before that, like I think it was around my 2 years, I got out for like 5 weeks and I just organically just wanted to. I think we start doing better. We don't need as much reassurance. Then we can go through our tsunami wave. And
Yes.
yeah, like even talking now, I don't feel I'm talking fast. I have a lot to say. But when I used to talk on caffeine and even healing, I would get that adrenaline boost and my heart would pound. So like, yeah, just normal. I mean, it would be like boom, boom, boom. It's like super excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was adrenaline, right?
Yes.
And I will have moments like even in class, if I start talking, I will have that sometimes. So I think it just depends. I guess because I know I'm talking with you and then I know I'm talking with people because most of the people on your channel are probably going through what we've gone through.
Yes.
So I know that I'm in a safe place. And I'm always in a safe place, right? But
Always.
yeah, but we get that a little bit of anxiety sometimes. Because like if I'm in class and I say something that, there's all these younger kids there and all that, I don't know, it'll happen, but it's getting better. It really is. Like even that is going away. But that was that mild, moderate anxiety that I needed the alcohol for. And it was all from caffeine. I was on a lot of caffeine back then. And it was just causing my body to react that way. And for a really long time, I always thought that was energy, but it wasn't. It was adrenaline. It was fake adrenaline. It was drug induced adrenaline for sure. So yeah. So did I say everything the update? And I'm telling you, even in our last video, I think I was just starting to apply at my job. And I'm a massage therapist, have been for 20 years. And being able to do the physical work, actually wanting to touch somebody and make them feel better. I couldn't do it. I had tried before. I think I talked about that in another video. I think it was the depression video. I tried to work on people and it was like working on bread, like kneading bread. Like I probably got more excitement from working on bread before when I had more dopamine stores. And it was weird. I just couldn't connect with the client. I didn't care. And then now here I am working on people again. And I really care about fixing them, helping them, making them feel better, whatever it is that they're after.
That's so amazing. You are
and there have been times around my cycle where I feel a little tired and I'm like, but it goes away. It comes and goes. And that's all going to get better too. Like if you hear anybody who has healed, who has completely recovered, it is a process. It is a long journey. It is a process. And so if you do have that chart, we can definitely show because we've talked about it before and talked about it in windows and waves, which it's not, I mean, that's just the terminology that we use, but this is the cycle. And it's never 100%. We're never 100% while we're going through the recovery. It's just getting to 100%.
Yeah, I couldn't get I don't know why I couldn't get that the diagram. I don't know why
Uh-huh.
this is, but maybe in the next life I can work it through. Like I
Yeah.
can take, but I just want to say a few words before you continue that I'm so happy that I did get you on the board, and I'm so proud of you, and like so happy in my heart because before we started to do those videos, and like I said, I was in my 35 tsunami wave, and after that we started to do videos. So when we started to do videos, I was a little bit in that, not little bit, I was still coming out from that wave, and it took some time to me to start to feel normal. But anyway, why I wanted to do that and why I was so happy that you came board with me, because now people are really starting to understand this process of post-acute withdrawals. This is something that is so important to put out there, and that's why I'm so grateful, because so many people are not aware from this. So many people who are caffeinated, they are not even aware that they are in state of caffeineism or using a hard drug. And like,
Yeah.
so just so grateful from deep from my heart, and and here we are
Thank you.
doing better
Thank
and
you. Here
better.
we are. Here we are, just every day doing a little bit better every month. Thank you. And same to you. Thank you for making your channel. And I still haven't made mine. I want to. I want to talk about caffeine and alcohol and just recovery, but you're the pioneer of making the channel, and you've been doing this for pretty much your whole journey.
I'm a weirdo. I don't know how, but here I'm.
You're an amazing weirdo.
Yeah, but
We're all a little weird. But I don't know. I just feel so different in a good way. And even if I do go through other little dips, it's all about healing. Like
yeah,
if we had that diagram to show, but like in the wave, it was so extreme, and in the healing, deep healing, it was so extreme, but it was part of it. And I knew, and every day I would say, "Oh, I know I'm healing," but it was so hard. And then now it's been a year. It's been a year since I went in.
yes, that's
And
amazing.
I did have something in the back of my mind. Am I going to go into another one? But
Of course.
it hasn't happened yet. But if, and I'm really not supposed to talk about it because it's not, but if it were to, it would be about healing, because I'm
Yeah,
definitely more upgraded. And I always said that too. I've always, even when I had mini waves, always upgraded in the window after, and definitely upgraded compared to the way I was last summer before I went in. I mean, I was even more upgraded compared to what I was, because that was 2 years of, ups and downs and healing. So of course I was going to be upgraded. And then boom, we all say that, bam, we just
yes,
got hit like a
man,
slap in the face.
yes,
And yeah, it was just surrender time. It was surrender time, and let the body and brain do its little, you just think all these like little workers in there just working everything out,
yeah,
connecting all the neurotransmitters and neurons, and giving us that chemical cocktail that God designed us to have before drugs. I mean, we're not supposed to be on caffeine the way that people talk about that with benzos too. Like if you go take a benzo, it's for like a plane ride or something. But then again, why are people so anxious when they get on a plane? Probably because they had like 5, 10 cups of coffee at Starbucks. There's a Starbucks in every
yeah,
airport. Like, why are people having anxiety, plane anxiety? I had really bad plane anxiety,
yeah,
and I was always on caffeine. But then, but my example, my whole point of saying that is like, you're only supposed to use a benzo, supposedly. You don't even need it, but like, you're not supposed to use a benzo daily.
no,
And I believe the same thing about caffeine. You're not supposed to be on caffeine daily.
mm-mm.
And here we were on it for 30 and 35 years straight,
Oh my
every
goodness,
day,
oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
daily.
Yeah,
And but it's so addictive, right? You can't just do it sporadically. Most people don't, and most people
mm-hmm.
consume it. Majority of the world consumes some form of caffeine daily. So it's
Yeah,
not like we were weirdos about
no,
it, but we were just super affected. And that is one thing I do like about the learning a little bit about the German new therapy or German new medicine is how it shows how people are. Because we always wonder, like, why does some people go through this and then some people don't? Some people can consume caffeine and yeah, they're being affected. Maybe their nerves are being affected and they're not being affected mentally or hormonally, but they're still being affected. But it's like, why are we all affected a little differently like that? And so the German new medicine kind of explains that. And
Yeah.
I like that theory. I really do. When you posted that, I was like, this is something to look into and it's very interesting. But again, everybody do their own research and all that good
Yeah,
stuff. But
of course, always.
always, yeah. But it's interesting, and I love that chart because it's like that's it. That's exactly. I mean, the way that they have it, it's like that is exactly, almost identical of like how I have experienced my journey so far.
That's why I wanted to show that, because there was like that. For me, it's always very calming when I look that in this way, how our body always is like in our side and how it's always is there to support us and heal us. And there was that big parasympathetic and big sympathetic state. Like first, of course, we went through that acute crisis where we have those panic attacks, and that's of course doesn't happen for everyone. For example, those people who don't go cold turkey or who doesn't have this shock, they can be a little bit like their journey can be a little bit more mild. But some point when you either you taper or cold turkey, some point you quit the drug. So some point your brain doesn't have the drug anymore. So that itself, it's kind of the shock the brain, and that's
Yeah.
the like the shock state that we all have to go through. Some of us it's longer, some of us it's shorter. But after that,
Yes.
when people do relapse, like always, sometimes it's like after 1 year, sometimes before, sometimes even after 1 week, people do relapse. But now, if we talk about these people who are going through this, like us, like months and even years, so I think it's really important to us to understand and bring that knowledge that the state, that parasympathetic state, when we have all these very symptomatic, like the symptomatic cycle, when we also have a lot of that anhedonia and fatigue and like just total loss of libido and loss of interest of life, that's the hardest part, and that's the most important part of this the
Right.
process to go through. And
Purpose.
the
Yeah, it's
diagram did
hard.
show in those stages kind of like that's
Yeah.
how it goes also in this
Yeah, I forgot to talk about the fatigue. The fatigue is
fatigue
intense
is
throughout this process, right? It's very
tiredness, like total being vegetable state, like how hard that is. Like I don't know like how we did get through that, but you just have to rest and let your body do the work. That's
very, very normal, right? So
yeah,
normal.
very
And I
normal.
do like one of my shifts is only 6 hours, but for me that's a long time. And I get out at 8 o'clock and I notice around 7 or 8, I'll get tired
Yeah,
and I start to feel kind of weird. But I just tell myself it's because you're tired. And it is. It's just because I'm tired. I just need to go home and rest. And like when we're completely recovered, we go through the whole day, have energy, and then 9, 10, 11, whenever it's time to go to bed, that's when we do our rest. But
yeah,
right now, and that's what it just shows about the whole healing process, and you talked about that in your last video, when we're healing, it's taking so much energy, we're tired throughout the day.
mm-hmm.
And we need the sleep. It's like you need
Yeah.
so much repair and rest, and it's all day every day in this recovery process. But then when we're recovered, we don't feel that tired. We don't feel like that anymore because we're recovered. And then the only time we need rest is at night, like a normal person, like when you are supposed to go to sleep. So it just makes sense that being fatigued, and there's different levels of that too, and ups and downs of that, it just makes sense. It makes so much sense that it's all about healing.
Yeah,
So
and like we also when we sleep, our brain is doing a lot of that fixing and working and putting those neurotransmitters back in the order. So when we wake up, that process still continues. But when we are awake, it's very like we are very anxious because we don't know why we have all these symptoms, and our brain has not done the process. So that's why it would be so much easier to just be in real coma in that 3 years and just sleep it all away. But because we cannot do that, that's why we have to go through, and that's why we are so tired. But also our sleep is off because because of the
Yeah.
anxiety, and also that's a little bit complicated. But in the end, like you said, we really go back to homeostasis, and we sure still have our moments. Like you said, it can be, for example, be like we were feeling a little bit off, like some days around our cycle. It can be like brain a little bit shutting off, or just feeling a little bit like tired in the brain. Like I always say tired in the brain, because that explains it's different tired than some other tired. So it's just something that brain does, like your friends say that aftershocks. Do you want to open a little bit about that term,
Oh yeah. I was
aftershocks?
messaging someone who's helped me throughout this journey, and because it's so much better, right? It's so much better. And then, but I'll still have my moments throughout the month. And I messaged him and he was like, oh yeah, I pretty much had that too. And we call it aftershocks. And I was like, yes, that's what it's like. But it was really nice to hear that they had that too. And then it just slowly gets better. And
Yes.
that's what so many people say. And I would love to maybe have, if they would have certain people on to talk about that.
Yeah.
If they're willing, if they're wanting to do that, because again, I think people just wanted to give that hope because they were better at a certain point, but then they noticed they were having these little healing after shocks, and it's again part of it. It's really part of the way we heal, and to be more functional now compared, but it's like the way that it was. It's that mild moderate anxiety now. It's nice. And I asked my coach, my guru, when am I going to be more functional? I think I asked in January, because I was slowly coming out of my wave. January, I was still having a lot. I was having terrible nightmares and waking up shaking, and what you talked about, how we heal, the TRE, the natural shaking.
Yeah.
I was totally healing. Like anybody that didn't know, okay, like why am I vibrating? Why am I shaking? Why are my glute muscles like boom, 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 boom?
Yeah.
And it was healing. It was all healing. If you don't know it, it's scary.
Yeah.
Why is my heart doing it? It's like, because it's healing. Why do my veins, I would stand up and the veins on my hand would just be like so puffy and swollen. It's because caffeine restricts blood flow by,
Yes.
they say 30-40%. I'm sure it's more than that. It's like so many things in the body are healing. And it's so beautiful, but do I ever know how much of a struggle it is? But it is about healing. And we just got to surrender to those symptoms and know that, I do wish that's my dream, is to have a healing center where people can go and just heal in peace by the beach,
Maybe some of you will come to see us.
Yeah.
One day
Or
when we
maybe,
make that.
yeah, if we could just get someone who's like, has, somebody, I'm sure there's a billionaire or a millionaire who's going through this. We could somehow get like a nonprofit organization and fund a center like that, because it's, a lot of people can't work. And if you go to a place like that, you're probably not going to be around work. But anyway, like that's just always been a dream of mine.
It's amazing.
And I would love to work there. I would love to work.
So if you are a millionaire, can you just quit caffeine and like quit cold turkey and then just wait 6 months or a year? So maybe you start to give us some money.
Yeah, if no one's a millionaire or billionaire, quit. I'm sure there's a lot of millionaires and billionaires that are on caffeine. They could quit. And
Chris will work there. He said in the chat. So
what did he say? I need to put
Chris.
Okay, what did he say?
Chris said that I will work there. Yes, we will get you right on the board. Everybody in the group, you are warmly welcome to work there, because we need those workers. Probably we put that into Texas, like maybe in Houston, because I think it would be good to be in America. If I would make that in Finland, people, I can say, and there wouldn't be so much people.
Right. Yeah, and we have the beach. It's Galveston. It's not it's a beach. It's pretty cool. It's not Puerto Rico, but
yeah, but we could go those walks with the glitters, and there could be some yin yoga and just all that what we would have needed in our own first year and second year, but we didn't have any kind of center where to go, like other drug addicts, they have
A
centers.
chef to cook us food.
Yeah. Yes.
A therapist, just someone to talk to, someone that's been a type of therapist who's been through this, who understands. It's like, this is normal. Well, I'm having a really bad day. I'm just feeling terrible. I feel it coming back. I feel it,
Yes.
just like breathe, because it's going to pass. And it does. It always passes. It always, when it feels the worst,
Yeah.
we're healing the most. Like, you can't get to the other side without it. And every single person who has recovered. Oh, I have a story.
Yay.
So I was, so that class that I go into, we go in like 3 Tuesdays in a row, and then we'll have like a Tuesday we work from home. So this was so tomorrow I go in, but this was the last Tuesday that I went in, and I was driving home, and it was sunset, and I had the windows down, and I had like an 80s song on, and I felt so good. Like, I felt better than I felt ever in my whole life. Maybe since I was like 10, I don't know.
Amazing.
I felt peace. I felt relaxed. I felt inspired. Like, I was looking at this townhouse on the street, and it had this like huge balcony, and it's like I daydream a lot, or in that moment, I'm looking at the balcony and I'm thinking, oh, I would love to just be up there, not with like a coffee or alcohol, but just sitting there. And that's what's so cool too. Like, I can just sit on my patio and look at the plants and just be happy. I don't need anything else like I used to make me happy. I needed the drugs to be happy. Right. So anyway, I'm driving, I'm listening to music, and I have the windows down, and I'm just like, I'm looking at the sunset, and I just feel like I could fly. Like, I was flying. And I called my guru, and he said, Mandy, I feel like that every day, every day. And this person went through what we have gone through. And so just to hear that, because I know that's where we're headed, to do that, to feel that way every single day. And yes, of course, we're not silly. We know that life stressors are going to get in the way, and life's not supposed to be 100% perfect all the time. But when you have gone through something like this, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just lovely. It's a lovely, lovely feeling, and it's very natural, and it doesn't last all the time for me, but it's happening more and more and more. And for them to say, I feel that way all the time was just like goosebumps, especially in that moment, because I felt that way for a while, and I was just like, oh my God, I just wanted to hold on to it. I was just like, because if I'm going to school or I'm going to work, I mean, I feel normal. I feel good. But that moment was like, it hit me hard, of joy or whatever it was. Like, it was just really beautiful. And yeah, I know that's where we're all headed. All of us are headed there. You stay free, you stay completely free, and let your brain and body go back.
Yeah, Chris asked, is your guru Kato?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I talk about him a lot. He doesn't care. I talk about him. Yeah.
Yeah, I also had that one like, now I don't need naps anymore, so that's very great. And when I started to have these energy days back, so I was just walking, running, and crying same time, because I didn't know what to do with that energy. And that's why I was like, when you told your story, I was emotional, because I said that I'm gonna go crazy with this energy. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was just crying. I was just speaking with God, like, thank you, like this what I have been waiting for all of my life, and it makes me emotional. And I have the states in this recovery where I couldn't even be emotional, like like anhedonia, deep anhedonia. Somebody could die, and I was like, nothing. Who knows? The people who go through, they know. So it's gonna be pretty amazing, and that's why I'm not scared about like speaking my truth for the other topics also, because just going through this, what anything doesn't, it's not big deal after this. Even the death doesn't feel big deal.
Yeah, it's not. And this is how we were always supposed to be, and now you're making me get all emotional, because it's so beautiful. Like, this journey is hard. It's so hard. And to know that we are able to feel that way, that you're feeling that way. And I remember when you read that, or you sent that to me, and I was feeling so happy for you. And I totally understand that. Talking to God, happy, just you can't believe it. It's less like, is this real? It's like, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. And one thing I did want to say about keto is that because it can be very confusing sometimes to watch his videos, and he made his videos the way that he made them, the way that he felt comfortable to make them. But he has told me if I could redo it, if I could do it all over again, because he didn't know, he didn't have anybody ahead of him, because he's so far on, he's really been done with the, recovered for so long now. He went through it so long ago. He didn't have anyone really to talk to. He was scared all the time. He was just getting through it blindly with that blind faith we've talked about before. And then he started, around 2-3 years for him, he started feeling better. And that's when he made that first video at 3 years. But it got better, meaning, yes, I'm sure he did have some ups and downs and things like that, but it just kept getting better and better. And so the only reason I want to say this, I'm not trying to speak for him, is that I just want people to know that are still going through it at a certain time, 2 years, 3 years or beyond. That's like, well, why aren't I healed yet? And it's like, because it's just a process. Like, it gets better, but you're still healing until it's over, until you're recovered. Like, drug withdrawal is a serious thing. But yeah, him saying that he would have done it all over again, or differently, but he did it he did it the way he did it because that's how he was experiencing it in the moment. And he was experiencing it in real time. We just know a little bit more from being able to talk to people that are at 5 years and 4 years and 6 years and 9 years, and that they've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people, and then also talking to people from like different types of drug withdrawals. And here's another thing too. I don't really like talking too much about benzos anymore, but a lot of the benzo recovery people are on caffeine.
Yeah.
And their anxiety started going down, probably to moderate to mild. Like, I could probably have caffeine now. I couldn't before. Like, my body would not let me. Not that I'm going to.
No.
But I could probably have it now, and I would get heart palpitations. I would get anxiety.
For sure.
Thinking that's energy. But I think that the benzo survivors are feeling, they were panic. Probably for benzos, it can be like a level 5 I said there's 4 levels, and it's bad for us too. Like, I'm not trying to downplay caffeine compared to benzos, but I don't know. I just know what I went through. But my point is that I think after 4 or 5 years for them, yes, they still have anxiety. They're feeling better, but they go to caffeine, and then they're like at 6-7 years and they're like still experiencing anxiety, because it's like, well, you're on a stimulant, central nervous system stimulant. So
Hard rock.
Yeah. I mean, look at us. Because again, I want to say this is something that you said earlier about alcohol and people quitting certain things and then they don't experience this. But I quit alcohol in 2019. I did not go through this. I was still functional. I was on a lot of caffeine though. And I had PMS and I had, the normal bouts of anxiety stuff. But I quit that caffeine or that alcohol and smoking. I was still functional. It wasn't until I quit caffeine that I went through all this. And so underestimated that it's like, oh no, it couldn't be the caffeine for them. Yes, it can. It really can. Certainly can be the caffeine for them. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's so hard to be transparent. It's not hard to be transparent, but it's getting easier and easier because the anxiety is fading. And so it's easier for me. But like when I was in the wave, I couldn't talk about it because the anxiety lies to you. It scares you. Yeah. But now here I am a year post that tsunami wave, and I feel way more confident to talk about it. It's just a journey. It's just a process. Like, I don't know what else to say other than that.
Yeah.
Or prove, that it's a long journey. And it's like, hey, I was suffering an addiction. I had PMS every month. I had anxiety every single month for that long. If I was still on caffeine and alcohol, or even just caffeine, I would still be going through that every month, right? But now here we are, a little past 3 years, and yeah, we're experiencing stuff, and it was crazy, crazy, crazy in the beginning, but we're free. And the way we're going is to true freedom. We wouldn't have been there if we
Yes.
were on. So thankful to be free of the drugs, what I'm
So
saying,
thankful.
because yes, this has been a hard journey, but that's recovery for some people. It's just this is post-acute withdrawal. And it's all about the healing. That's all I can say. But yeah, I just wanted to say my update that I'm so much more functional this summer, and I think that's just how it happens. And I think it's just gonna ease out into. I never really knew. I remember when I made that diagram. I think I was at like 13 months, and I posted my little diagram. I didn't know about the tsunami wave,
Yeah.
but now we do, and now we know that there's not another one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there going to be moments? I think so around my
Yeah.
cycle,
Yes.
but this is just for me.
Me
But
too.
they're short lived, and that's just still part of the healing process. Because again, like I was saying, the fatigue, the intrusive thoughts. Oh, and another thing about the intrusive thoughts, like when people are dreaming, they're having
Mm.
nightmares, and you're dreaming a lot, and they're so vivid. The intrusive thoughts are a form of a dream. Like they're a
Yeah.
form of what are we doing when we're dreaming and we're sleeping? We're healing the most when we sleep. I think the intrusive thoughts, just like all the other symptoms, that's exactly what we're talking about. The symptoms are the healing. The intrusive thoughts too. They're the brain. They're crazy and weird, and we don't like them, but they're part of the brain doing its healing process. It's cleaning up. It's doing all this stuff. Because even now, I'll have moments where they try to pop in. I don't know if I said this before. I don't think I did in a video, but now, so before, like around 20 months, 22 months, it started getting to where the intrusive thoughts were popping up like a memory instead of it being sticky and like running on a loop. It was like they would try to pop up and sneak in because that's what anxiety does. It like gives you some relief and then it comes back in and it just like boom, And so like they would try to come in and it would be like the memory of them. But I was just like, they were more like back here instead of like right here, all sticky, like before.
Yeah. Christopher
And
said in the chat that I'm still having intrusive thoughts at 18 months and recently scary dreams. I said very normal, and Mandy knows also
yeah,
very, very normal. Don't
very a lot of healing.
worry.
Like anytime I would have anything like that, I would always tell myself, "God, that's so much healing happening," because it is. It is. I promise you, like 100%. And so then I had the wave, and then now when the intrusive thoughts try to sneak in, they're like even lighter and more faded. And it's like so I said before, like 20, 22 months, it's like the memory of them. Now it's like someone else's memory.
Yeah.
Like I watched a movie and
Yes.
saw something that I didn't like, and it's like it happened to somebody else. So I know even like a year from now or 2 years from now, it's just going to be like, no, it's because it doesn't even bother me anymore. They definitely don't stick. I mean, sometimes they'll pop up and I'll be like, okay, weird, but it's just different. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
different.
how our brain keeps us also safe. Like when something happens, like conflict, and we get very confused, and it's like traumatic and like very traumatic, like this. Like after we get over that, our brains kind of forget. We go back to normal, and that's how it feels. Like, oh, it didn't happen to me, or oh, it was
Yeah.
like somebody else dream. Like I sometimes I could only recently watch my videos in my early stages, like in the way that I could like just, oh, what a cool girl, like you are speaking there, and you didn't have to go YouTube, you just could like let yourself heal. But you don't know in that state, you just want to try your best, and like you all are doing your best. You don't have to try to help anyone else but yourself. Like really, it's enough to just go through your own life, and it's a huge.
Absolutely. I love that.
We really.
Yeah, being selfish
And yes,
through
one
this.
thing, food, because I love food, and we all love food. So I did eat a big pizza today. I love food, and like we will have also many of us a more food freedom. I still don't go gluten or dairy. It's just my like choice, but definitely my digestion is very good. I can have more food, and that's why I'm very happy. So, but
Me too. Same. I had terrible digestion on caffeine and then with the healing. Because again, when we're healing, we're going through all this diarrhea, constipation, all this stuff. And it's all about healing. But I was always like, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. I can't eat flour. And it's because we had anxiety. Like when you have anxiety, your digestion's all messed up, right? You,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? What do they say? The digestion and the reproductive system, all that. That's not important.
Yeah.
Staying alive, the heart and the brain, and like the more, the more important survival systems are what are in play more than digestion and reproductive. So yeah, our libido goes down, and we're not, our intestines are just, they're just not working right. And we think we can't eat certain foods for so long. It's like becomes kind of a stigma, not a stigma, but it becomes kind of like our way of life. Like, oh, I have to stay away from this. So
Yeah,
yeah,
obsession,
having more,
like, yeah.
an obsession. It's like having more food freedom for sure. That's something to look forward to. I mean, having what I had the other day, and I've had it many times. It's just, it was that was so recent what I had driving home. That's super exciting, right? But then like to be able to eat and then not really gain weight because you're not stuffing your face. Like when I was on caffeine and alcohol, well, the alcohol was the beer, because I was a beer drinker, and the beer was bloating me, but it was also messing up my digestive system more. Besides the anxiety, because I'm sure if I started drinking beer again, well, first of all, I think it would give me anxiety, but I think it would just cause chaos in my body.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just saying, I think like, yeah, of course you can gain weight being free from alcohol and caffeine, but there's something about being free where I can eat, but I don't overeat the way I did on caffeine and alcohol,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
And then
we
I
just
think like,
can't. We can't
mm-mm,
overeat. Like our body is just, we can have a pizza and like, okay, good. But we don't, like when I was caffeine, I could eat like ice cream, tons of ice cream, chocolate ice cream. I could eat anything, but I still didn't gain weight. But now I
I
did
do.
gain weight. Even I did eat very healthy because of my cortisol belly. So that's part of the healing
The
because of
cortisol belly.
anxiety. Cortisol belly.
Yeah, cortisol, adrenaline. Yeah, the cortisol belly, cortisol hips. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Well, here's something. When I was on caffeine and alcohol, I would have a hangover and I would go to Whataburger here in the States. I don't know if I think it's a really popular fast food place here in Texas, but it's called What a Burger. And my husband and I were just talking about it the other day because he was just like, God, you could eat. And I was pretty chubby. I was, 50 pounds more than I am now. But I should have been like 100 pounds more. So I ordered a hamburger, a beef hamburger. I ordered a chicken sandwich because I wanted both. And I was having hormone, it's around my cycle. So I was just like craving all these things. So, and I don't crave like that anymore. I don't. Um, Not like that. So I just had a beef hamburger with fries, and then I got a fried chicken sandwich with onion rings, and then I got a chocolate shake, a large chocolate shake, and an apple pie. And then I also got this is like true addiction, right? Food addiction right
Yeah.
here. Because we were laughing about it. I had my car fry. So because I didn't want to dip into my fries, that was for home on the couch being lazy watching my movie. So I had my snack, my car fry as my while I was driving. And I think I got a nice tea because yeah, both came with a drink. So I had a caffeine, the chocolate shake, and the iced tea with the other one, and the apple pie. I think I spent like $35. And that was a while ago. That was like 7 years ago. And that was when fast food, I haven't had fast food in a while, but I hear it's like really expensive now. But that was when it was a lot cheaper, and it was like $30. And I was like, I am a piggy wiggy. I don't do that. I don't even think about that.
Yes,
Uh,
because we have such a natural energy then when we are hungry, we are just so happy to eat food and we can actually enjoy the food and taste, and when we want to go eat, we don't have to have anxiety. That's the best feeling ever. Like first time you get the restaurant and you don't have that, oh my god, does this contain caffeine? Oh my god. Like all that. It's just so pure and natural. You're just, oh my goodness, feeling.
so pure and natural. Yep. It's nice. Yeah. It's almost like when I was on caffeine and alcohol, I could never get full. I could never drink enough. I could never eat enough. I was like feeling a void. I was feeling so many different voids with the mind altering substances and with the food. And it was like this vicious cycle. And plus, okay, like if I go out to eat, I'll go out and eat fajitas sometimes, and I'll order water, and I'll just have like my one little water, and I'll probably drink. I don't even drink at all. But when I would go out to eat before, I would have like 5 iced teas. Like I wasn't that thirsty,
Yeah.
I wasn't needing to. I mean, I was dehydrated. I was always dehydrated, but I'm consuming caffeine, which dehydrates you more. And I would just chug, like the waitress would come by and just pour, more tea, more tea, more tea, more tea. And then, would you like a tea to go? Yes, yes, please, I would. And then I'd have to pee so bad. But yeah, now I just drink just sip my water. It's like I was always constantly consuming everything. And the same thing about shopping and consumerism too. It just makes you like this glutton. I don't know. It's so different. So I used to always talk about focus on the improvements. Like there's just so many things that are different now that we're free. I know that we always tend to focus on the healing, not just the symptoms, the healing symptoms. But if you do focus on how much things are better, and different, I think that helps a little bit because you can find the things that are better. You can
So
find
many.
things that are different, and that's improvement for quality of life when you're having a hard day. I mean, just having a hard day, you just get through the day. There's not any kind of rhyme or reason how
No,
easy it is, or
no,
oh yeah, you just get through it. No, you
no.
just get through it.
Yeah.
Like that's all you got to do.
Maybe the first improvement for many of us it's just feeling a little bit more calm and not so reactive when we don't. Of course, we can have those when we are symptomatic. We have those glimpses of rage and like emotions coming through and go. But that just that calmness and that like more. You can just be calm and you are not so reactive anymore, and that's something to like that you really feel pretty soon after you quit caffeine. That starts to kick in when you
Huge.
when you have your moments, and that state's gonna be permanent. Of course, we
Yeah.
we have the fight or flight when we need that, but we are not in constant chronic stress state anymore. Like, and then our fight or flight works even better because we have the
Yeah.
energy. We are not burnt out. We have the energy to do the stuff, and then we recover nighttime when our adenosine is like burnt out normally, and we don't block the adenosine like we did years and years. So
Exactly. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, you do go through those moments of high adrenaline, and I would hear a noise and it would just scare me. But when everything starts to regulate, yeah, our fight or flight process knows the difference between being scared by a noise and when we're really being attacked, because we think everything's attacking us when we're in that state.
mm,
But when we're healing and when we're recovered completely, our body and brain knows the difference between just a noise on the street or like a tiger's really chasing us, not a tiger, but So yeah, but that calmness, that is true. Like I don't even recognize that sometimes. Like I am so much more like I can get upset now, but like and I do have my rage moments, but that's usually around my cycle, and it's definitely healing stuff.
yes,
But besides that, I'm not as reactive. I mean, even with my husband, he can really irritate me sometimes, but I used to be like, I would say terrible, mean things, and it
me
wasn't
too.
me, it was just the way my body, I don't do that anymore.
Yes,
So even my neighbor, he irritates me sometimes, but with certain things that he says and does, because he's going through his own issues and things. I might feel a certain way, but I even think that's going to get better, but I don't react the way I used to. It's different. It's all getting better. It just is. It's just so amazing. So yeah, I love that you
yeah,
said
me
that.
too. Like with my roommate, I don't care if she smokes that or like we can just tell a lot of jokes and we have a very good humor now. And like before, I was just so reactive and like that's so much improvement that when we really start to go within the us, the back to normal us, it's all things that you need to work out on life. I will say that things will work out the best for you.
Yeah. Yes.
So
That's something too. That's true. Like everything while we're going through it, stress can really, even though we're calmer, stress can still make us feel a certain way. but that will all get better. And then things that we're even worried about or concerned about while we're recovering, it just all kind of, yeah, it all kind of plays out. And all that stuff that we're worried about, is this going to be different? Is that going to be different? It's like, well, the things that we're questioning, if we're questioning it, then that means that it's something that we definitely don't want, and that it'll naturally just get better. But even things that we're worried about that we don't understand, it just all goes away. It all gets better, because like, even if I am having a moment and I think, oh my God, and then it goes away, like I don't remember it the next day or weeks later. I'm just like, oh yeah, that thing I was worried about, that fight, or how my neighbor irritated me, or my mom said this, or my aunt, or my sister, or my husband. There's all these different people that are, or my old friends, or whatever it is. If I'm having that moment where and this is something to do with alcohol, but probably caffeine too. I've noticed I go through moments where my brain is making the situation worse just so I can go use, because that's what I did for so long. Like, I would create more chaos, even if it wasn't that big of a deal. If it was something that maybe seemed like a big deal in the moment, but I would make it even bigger deal and get all worked up just so I could go use, have an excuse to use. And I think in recovery, it still does that a little bit. Certain things will just blow things out of proportion. Even if we want to consume it or not, our brain still does, especially at certain times. Because again, if it's from allostasis and homeostasis and all these things are healing, it still does things. The brain still thinks it needs it. I believe this is what I think.
Yes, it does.
And even though it's going back to
brain does
homeostasis,
have that memory of the drug, and that's why
right?
It's like an angry child. That's how I look at. There is inside of that angry child. Where is my drug? But even
Yeah.
we are already farther in the journey. The angry child is a little bit there, and that's gonna fight for you before it calms down, and it's okay. Now I don't need that anymore. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah, 30, 35 years, 40 years, however, 10 years, 20 years, people have been on this drug.
oh my
It
goodness.
really thinks it needs it to survive, and it's going to take time. It's not a couple months. It's years in recovery for a lot of us. And another thing I noticed, somewhere around 2 and 3 years, maybe even up to 3.5, we go through that gray area where the brain really is trying to get us to use again. It's like that last push of like, are you going back? Are you going back? I think we need it. And it's like, no, I'm not going back. And we're teaching our brain it's all about the rewiring. We're teaching it. And I think it's a lot of it's about the chemical, but I also think that it's about the patterns and stuff that we were going to talk about that. We were going to make a video about that, but just kind of the patterns that we've learned, the coping skills that we learned along the way, just our personality that might not really be us, that we've learned for the last 20, 30 years that really weren't us. Like me, I think I have talked about this. Like I would be more goofy or try to be like the comedian, it's like these little learned behaviors that we were just, because we had the anxiety or because however we were being affected by the drug when we were on it, all those years, all those learned patterns and behaviors that we're now unraveling. I think we have talked about that, like unraveling.
Talk about that. Yeah,
paper.
it's very good.
Yeah, it's like we're unraveling. The brain's doing all this healing chemically and hormonally, and the body chemically and hormonally, but we're also unraveling different patterns and behaviors as well in recovery. So it's all happening, in this like beautiful rhythm. But the symptoms, some of the mental symptoms do get in the way and make us irritated, but it is part of it. But so who else here? So Chris, I can't read. I can't.
Yes, let's take now the questions before it's about 11 o'clock here. So
yeah, it's hard for me to
but
read anything.
Okay, so if you can, do you want to watch your phone? Do you have the phone?
Oh,
you can also
phone.
read there. But I have the chat, but because you cannot see the chat.
Oh, I don't have YouTube on my phone. So another thing, I have completely gotten rid of all social media for like I haven't been on Facebook since May. I got rid of YouTube on my phone. I'm like a monk now.
That's very good, very good.
But I do have it on my computer, but I do see a little bit. I do see some stuff, but it's not live.
I can read it to you. So now before we quit, put some questions if you like. And I also want to, of course, thank all of you, like followers and subscribers, whatever reason you are here, even if you are not free from caffeine yet. It's really means me a lot to that you are here. This is why we do this, to help people to have this information. Even not everybody wants to quit or can't quit. It's important for us to share this information, and you all people who have commented, it means a lot. It's just
Yes.
so
Yes.
thankful.
Oh, yeah. And you were telling me about the new commenter you had. I don't know if they're watching. That she
Yes.
was really said some really great stuff. So that's so cool. Because she did
Yes.
mention my name, I think, in one of them. So
Yeah. Thank
we're
you.
going through it too. We know what it's like. We've been there. It's getting better. We just want to share our experience. Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing too. I don't really ever think about the people that haven't quit. I think we talked about that
Yeah.
before. I don't really, that's big too. Like if you're even wanting to quit or haven't quit yet, like it's a journey for some people, but it is worth it to be free of the drug. So
yeah, and when the next year is coming, I know that new quitters will come, because it's always a new year. So we will maybe
yeah.
with Mandy after Christmas, we will make that like the start episode, that we can like give you some quick start, and like we can like kind of guide
Sure.
you the beginning of the process, little bit like something to motivate, and we always bring something
Yeah.
new on
New
the
Year's
table.
support. Yeah, for sure.
But seems that not any questions yet, but I'm
How long did Chris say he is now?
Chris, how many months you are? I know you are over 2 years. Are you 2 years and 3 months? I don't remember exactly
I thought
time.
you said in one of the comments that he still has the intrusive thoughts, and he said how long he was.
But there is
I might.
also that was Christopher. We have also Christopher, who is 18 months, and then it's Chris. Chris is over.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris said
Yeah.
that I
18
feel like an
months.
old man still some days. Hurts to walk my feet. Age. Yes,
Yeah.
normal.
Yes. Pain. All that. The bones, the tendons, the
Chris is
ligaments.
2 years
Everything.
and 3 months. So very
Okay.
normal it was for us too.
Very normal. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like I just want people to know how normal it is past 2 years. There's something about, oh yeah, we're healed by 2 years. No, I don't think it's, I think we're starting to see more and more of that. And I know a lot of people who are not in groups anymore that, and that don't make videos, that it took them, a while. It got better and better.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't complete agony up to that point, but it's longer than what people are saying. And I just think it's so important to let people know that it's just time. It's just a long time, but it's all about healing. Like again, I don't know what else to say. It's very normal. Would you rather know that it's normal, or would you rather be in the dark and not know at the beginning and just be like, oh yeah, it's this amount of time, and then you get to that amount of time and you're still healing, and you're like, oh, that's not happened for me, and it's like, what the heck? Like not only did I have to go through the symptoms, but I felt scared and alone. Like I just think that this is
I
needed
would rather
because
know, because like that's what I do in Discord, and when the people message me, it's always that reassurance, like Annie, I have this and that, and yeah, it's normal. That's when the people reach out, is then when they are having a moment, and that's very nice to be able to calm that moment. So that's what we also
yes,
needed, but we didn't really have any knowledge when we started this, except like the KO. Of course KO was, but first we didn't even have the KO, because first when me and Mandy we did quit, we didn't know anything. We didn't even know that it was caffeine withdrawal. Like first we were just confused.
those doctors. I'll never forget. It feels like, you know what? It feels like a lifetime ago, me going to all those doctor's appointments and trying to figure out what this was. That's like a different life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all they could say was it's anxiety. But
Yeah, Chris said yes,
never.
the reassurance always helps in the bad moments,
Oh, I am getting
especially.
it in the corner. Okay.
Yes, do you see that now?
Yes.
Maybe.
Especially in the bad moments. Right. And then the bad moments always pass, but they're so intense in the moment, but they don't last.
Yeah, that's important to know. For
I
me,
feel like in
sometimes when if I had a bad moment, sometimes I just naturally I just start to like scroll to my phone, I don't know why it happens, but that's something that I put my mind into something else. It just happens for me. Like it just sometimes, if you have a bad moment when you put your attention a little bit something else, it can be very simple, like watching some funny video or whatever. Like you just know that in that state, don't. I think it's not good to go maybe watch anything scary stuff or like just raise up the anxiousness. It's just my a little tip that in the bad moment, just seek something that it's making you feel better, like the comfort and
Yes, I agree. I agree. And I fantasize. I've always fantasized like complete recovery, and I think that's very normal. But I also think just knowing 100%, like we don't have to pray for this or hope for this and all that
yeah,
that's been told to us, but it's still going to happen. But we just get through the day. Like it's just, I don't know what else to say, but it's just part of it. Like
yeah.
it's,
Yes.
I mean, even now, like I have a little bit of not brain fog, but it's different. It's like, here's what it is. I can push through now.
Yeah.
When before I couldn't, like with work and stuff, I can just go to work. I want to go, I go. And I just know that even what I'm going through now is going to go away. Because again,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't have the depression. I don't have the intrusive thoughts like I did. I don't have insomnia. Like all those things are better. So now this is part of like this little sweep up of healing. And I'm functional though. Like I'm so thankful to be functional.
Yes.
And the busier I am, the more it can kind of, I don't know if it's like this for others, but the busier that I get or that I am, the easier it is sometimes in the
Yeah.
moment. And then I'll think, but then it hits
Yes.
me back like, oh my gosh, yeah, I was busy. And then
Yes.
it kind of went away. And,
Same.
but it's because it's fading. It
Yeah.
is. But then it comes back sometimes and like, oh, like even stronger. Like, and I've always said this, but I got this from, from Cato, but like, it's not that it's because we'll say, oh, it's worse than before. And I love this. It's not that it's worse. It's that we're getting better. And so it's like what he said, it was like the anxiety. It's like, it gives you some relief. You're doing some stuff here and there. And then it's like, oh, it came back and hit me worse. And it's like, well, no, the anxiety is a motherfucker. It's a bitch. Should I even cuss like that on here?
Yeah.
Those are some pretty hard cuss words.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, true. True.
But, it gives us some relief and then it like goes and works out and gets stronger. Like it's stronger
Yes.
because it's trying, because again, it is connected to that addiction part and it's trying so hard to get you to use and then we don't and then it gets weaker. That's how it keeps getting weaker. But we all say that, oh, it's coming back stronger. It's like it's hitting me harder and it's getting worse and da 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 da. No.
Yeah.
It's because we're getting better and the anxiety is getting weaker. And so what is it going to do? It's trying so hard to hold on and to hang on, but we stay free and then we keep getting stronger and it gets weaker, but it'll come back. It'll try to come back. It's just that we're getting better and then it eventually just fades away. So that's definitely how it's happened for me. And so I just want to offer that little bit because it's kind of funny because we all say that and I used to say that in the group. I would make my long posts and stuff and I'd say we all say the same things. We're all saying, oh,
Yes, we
I'm
are.
never going to heal. I'm stuck. You feel stuck in those moments. You feel because it does it lies. We're all saying the same stuff.
Yeah.
And all the people that have healed were saying it and they all healed. The ones that stayed away, stayed free. And they're just living their they don't even talk about it anymore. And one day we won't talk about it anymore.
Yeah. Except
No?
me, who stays still here forever.
Well, and then I'll
But
come back.
yeah.
I think my personality too, I'd come back and say the things, but I won't be able to relate to it as much. Like some of the
Yeah.
stuff I'm talking about now, I can't relate to
Yeah.
it as much
Yeah, it's
because I'm
just
not in it.
like it's a kind of like work we talk about, but then when we go, we
Yeah,
just live our life and do other things. But when we are here, we talk about that's like it goes.
exactly.
But now I wanna thank you all, and we will definitely do more episodes when we have time, and thank you for everyone, and please comment something above, like under this video, because that's always like I just feel so good when you comment anything like hard or anything. It gives me more motivation and thrive to do this. And of course,
Yeah, it's nice.
don't go caffeine. Don't relapse. The caffeine police is
No,
always here. That's the quick reminder because it does get better.
it does.
And Mandy, so much thank you for
Thank you.
being
Yeah, I can't
here.
wait to come back and just talk about, because I know it's just going to keep getting better and better, like for all of us. But for me to just come back here and there and just share the more and more improvements. So, yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you and